Hello and welcome. This is Cheryl. Thank you so much for joining me today. In this video, we're going to open up day 10 of the Spellbinders Crafty Advent Calendar for 2024. So if you don't want to see what's in day 10, now's your chance to stop, save the video to watch later. But we're going to open it. We're going to create something with whatever is in today's window. So I love this one from today's window. It's some sentiment dies and it says, just saying hello. I love the script from this. It's absolutely perfect. This one doesn't have a shadow. I love it when they do have shadows, but sometimes you don't need them for whatever you're creating. So for this set of dies, I thought this would be perfect on the card that I created for day 9 with the yellow sequins. So I'm taking some of the Beeswax Cardstock that I had left over from die cutting the essential arches, and I'm taping these sentiments in place to utilize as much of that cardstock as possible. And I want to make sure that they're not going to shift when I'm die cutting them. Because these dies are so tiny, I'm going to pull out my Spellbinders Platinum Scout and I'm going to die cut them on there. So I'm cutting away all the excess cardstock because I just don't need that when I'm doing this die cutting. I love this little machine for doing small dies. I always tape my dies in place because the plates are so long that I want to make sure that nothing is going to shift or wiggle or move while I'm die cutting. So I always tape things in place. I just use Best Ever Craft tape, and when I take it off of my dies, I reuse that over and over again until basically it stops sticking. So I get a lot of use out of my Best Ever Craft tape. It's a great way to tie or to hold your dies down. It's a great way to hold your press plates down or hold your foiling plates down. I use it quite a bit, but these rolls go a long way. So I'm also using a die pick to poke the die cut out of the die. It's a really nice fine script die. So I'm going to be using my Barely Art glue in the fine tip bottle to glue it down. However, because the card that I made for day 9 had the Cloud9 interference inks and had the shimmer look to it, I thought I would grab one of those pads and use that to do some ink blending on these die cuts first. So I'm using Lemon Candy. It has a yellow dye ink, but it has a pink shimmer to it that I think is going to complement the card really well. So once I have those ink blended, or I have the ink on them, and I could have done the same thing with just white cardstock and ink blended with those same ink pads, and I would have had a very similar look to it because the dye part of the ink pad is yellow. I just chose the Beeswax cardstock because I had the scrap from my previous card and wanted to use it up. I lay them out on my card just to be sure that the layout that I'm thinking of is going to work properly, and then put a little bit of the Barely Art glue on the back of those die cuts. I always put a large acrylic block on top of my die cuts while they're drying. Holds everything nice and flat, especially on a textured surface like this because it is 3D embossed. It also frees up my hands to work on my next thing. Now, because I'm not doing much in this video, I thought it would be fun to just do a little bit of enhancement on the bee. So I took some Glossy Accents and filled in his eyes, and I filled it in with quite a lot of Glossy Accents. It's going to take a little bit to dry, but it's going to give him some glossy, kind of popping out eyes. There was a couple bubbles in there, so I just took a pin and popped them while it was nice and wet. I also took a little bit of Stickles to put on his antenna just to add a little bit of sparkle there. Here is that final result. I absolutely love the Glossy Accents on his eyes, and that sentiment is absolutely perfect for this card, especially with that color scheme. It goes well with the ink blended background and the little bumblebee and those sequins. Thank you so much for joining me for day 10. I will see you tomorrow, and we'll see what is in day 11 of the Crafty Advent Calendar.